So you must be happy with the form after what happened at the Perfs, and then that 11th place in GP Le Les.
Yeah, I think it's really good. Like physically is fine. Remembering how to race a bike again after like 5-6 months is always a bit tricky. So Perth was a good season opener when we last spoke, and then last weekend we raced twice in Europe, a 1.1 and a 1.2, which as a team I think it was a successful weekend in terms of progression and new teammates, new setup, staff, the rest of it. Jack was in the front group on the first day and crashed 500 metres to go, so that could have been a top 20 or better result. Me and Harry were in the group behind at like a minute, and then the following day we were going to ride for Harry for a sprint, but we lost half the team to crashes and mechanicals, so there was not really much of a chance to race. We'll do like a 6-man lead out for Harry, so we were rolling with moves in the last 10k and I got away like 9k to go. Probably did too much work going into the finish, and I came like 11th of 15 or something in that group, but at least we were in the right place, so it's all good to learn from. And we've got a lot more back end of this month. We're doing WADLEY, which is 1.1, and then Olympia's Tour, so doing like 10 UCI days in a month, which is really great, and very grateful for the opportunity to do that.
I should imagine that there's a huge difference between the Perfs and going across and doing Le Les and the other races that you were doing.
Yeah, so obviously both those races were like 200k or 190k and 200k, so not 70k in Perfs, but so it's raced very differently. Like Perfs was 2 hours full gas, whereas these were like race for the break, 3 hours
the usual routine.
Yeah, and then 2 hours hard. So it's a very different like procession, as it were. But those are the races we're targeting, and these are, I guess, training. So we're here to give it a whack.
And I guess being in the belt, you talk about crashes and all that. What's the difference between a peloton over there and a peloton over here?
I think we were discussing this on the way here. There's a lot more depth in Europe, where like 100 guys could win the race or 50 guys could win the race. So everyone's fighting and deserves their place at the front. So it's a lot sketchier, a lot faster, and you can't really sit on your haunches for the whole thing. Whereas you come here, there's 10, with all due respect, there's probably 10 guys who can win, and everyone's watching them, and everyone's kind of like, just racing a little bit differently.
So gather in France and Belgium, Holland, wherever, you're actually on the rivet a lot, while also being shoulder to shoulder with riders.
Yeah, exactly. The first hour and a half of Le Les was like 47k an hour down these tiny little wet French roads, just going full whack. And I was like, if this goes for 4 hours, like I'm going to be mentally more exhausted than I will be physically, because you have to be so on edge. Whereas here, it's a little bit easier to move around. Kind of, if you make a mistake, you can kind of like just press the gas button and try and fix it. Whereas you can't there, because it's all at such high speed. Yeah.
And what's next for after this? Back abroad?
Wednesday we're driving to France to do WADLEY near Nantes. That's a 1.1, which will be fun. Hopefully not a sprinter's race. A bit more lumpy to suit our characteristics, but it should be good.
All right, well done.